live and on tape from the Silicon Valley. This is the Mighty Rip Podcast, and I am Dave DeBaugh, and I want to talk sports with you, North America. Coming up on the Mighty Rip Pod today, we take a look at James Harden's new favorite game, which is War of Words with Giannis. Plus, what the hell is Jerry Jones thinking? All of that, and trust me, a whole lot more, coming up on the Mighty Rip Pod today. But we begin with James Harden, who's just like Kevin Durant. Oh my God. Kevin Durant, who cannot stay off of Twitter, is the biggest whiner in all of sports. James Harden was actually legitimately, and he went on a show with Rachel Nichols to complain about this, legitimately upset about what Giannis actually said about him during the National Basketball Association All-Star Draft. Giannis actually said, I'll take Kemba Walker instead of James Harden because Kemba passes the ball. James actually sits down and does a one-on-one interview with Rachel Nichols to complain about this. It is absolutely ridiculous. Here's what James Harden had to say. James Harden fires back at Giannis. I wish I could just run and be 7 feet and just dunk. It is an absolutely ridiculous war of words between James Harden and Giannis that I have to say, it has gotten to the point in the National Basketball Association, in the National Football League, in the NHL, in Major League Baseball, in the MLS, in all of the sports across North America. It has gotten absolutely ridiculous how many people complain about stuff. I mean, just look at Dante Wilder, who actually came out and said, and I quote, that 40 pounds outfit caused him to lose the fight. Look, whether or not any of that is true, whether or not James Harden's feelings were hurt, doesn't matter. You need to both just let it go. It's like that song from Frozen. It is just time to let it go, guys. And it's absolutely ridiculous that these players across all sports are always looking for excuses and reasons to complain about something. Look, I know James Harden and Kevin Durant might not have that thing that's in between their heads that you and I have. You know, the ability to regulate when somebody's making a joke and when somebody's not making a joke. Now, look, I know James Harden said that Giannis wasn't actually making a joke and he was actually serious. But look, English isn't Giannis's first language. Hell, I don't even think it's his second language. I'm just saying you got to cut Giannis some slack. Plus, Giannis is not really great at humor anyways. You just have to factor that in, James. So please, James Harden, as much as I support you, as much as I've gone on podcasts and I've said, look, the Houston Rockets are going to be fine. Small ball's going to work. It's going to work. You've just got to stop the whining. I'm just saying. Now, look, I do want to say something real quick about small ball. Now, in the National Basketball Association, like in the National Football League, there's a difference between playoffs and regular season. There just is. And I'm telling you right now, especially in the National Basketball Association, this is what I want you to do. Go tape a game. That's right, I still call it taping. Go tape a game. Do it on your VHS. Go tape a game, any game from the regular season this weekend. Go ahead and save it. I don't know how you're going to save it, but save that game. Then tape any playoff basketball game. Any playoff basketball game. I don't even care if the Denver Nuggets are involved. Just take any playoff basketball game and tape it and look at the difference between a regular season basketball game and a playoff basketball game. I'm telling you right now, there's a huge, significant difference. I've been following the sport for well over 40 years, and there is always a big difference between playoff and regular season basketball, which is why I'm about to come down on James Harden. Hopefully, James Harden won't cry about it or whine about it or go on ESPN and complain about me, because I think the Houston Rockets need somebody that's, I don't know, maybe 6'8", somebody who's not 6'6", and can actually rebound the ball. Look, rebounding is what wins chips in the National Basketball Association, and it always has. I know we always talk about defense and we always talk about scoring, but none of those things actually happen unless you have some ability to actually rebound the ball. Now, in the era that we're currently in, Steph Curry's era of three-point shooting, the world has certainly changed, and the rebounds, where you used to just get them just down low in the key, have sort of changed. There's a lot of spray bounds that happen, long three-point shots that nick the rim and end up near the top of the key, and you get a rebound out there. That's a spray ball. Those spray balls are everywhere in the National Basketball Association these days. Go ahead and take a look at it. If we actually pulled some stats on this, the place where people get rebounds has changed significantly in the last 5 years due to the insurgence of Steph Curry's inability or unwillingness to do anything other than shoot long-range threes, which in the Big Three basketball era could actually be considered 4-point shots. That's how far out Steph and players of his caliber shoot the ball from today. So the Houston Rockets, as much as I want to see them cause trouble in the West this year, will not be able to in any way, pull that off if they don't find some rebounding, which means they're actually going to have to find somebody near 7 foot. 6'8" to 7 foot, what we're looking for. Look, the G League, if you're not aware, is full of big sticks. Just go get a couple big sticks for D'Antonio, so 4 out of 5 of his players on the court at the time can be small, and then there can be one large person who we would actually call a big stick. Okay, so moving on to our second story of the day on Mighty Rip. And that is, what the hell is Jerry Jones thinking? Look, it's been like 25 years since, Jerry, you've won a Super Bowl. Look, last time I checked 25 years ago, if I wanted to make a phone call, Jerry, I would have stopped off at a local mobile gas station, gotten out of the car, walked up to the payphone with a couple quarters, maybe a nickel, maybe a dime, would have used the white papers or the yellow papers to figure out who I was going to call, and then I would have actually made the call. That's how I would have done it 25 years ago. Look, Jerry, it's been 25 years. Payphones were still regularly used 25 years ago. It's just ridiculous that the Dallas Cowboys, at the very least, haven't even found a way to get back to the Super Bowl. So when you hear all of this talk about Dak Prescott this and Dak Prescott that, you need to consider, how good is Dak Prescott really? Look, Jerry's obviously in love with Tony Romo. And who's not in love with Tony Romo? I mean, like, hearing Tony Romo call a football game is by far one of the best experiences you can have in this life. I'm just saying. Jerry, on the other hand, is in the same infatuation that the rest of us are with Tony Romo's magic 8-ball and being able to call plays before they actually happen. Look, Tony Romo currently makes more money and is going to make more money than most of the players in the National Football League. Just imagine that. The guy calling the game makes more than the players on the court or on the field. Finally, justice for the broadcasters. Anyways, so Jerry's still stuck in a land where he thinks of Tony Romo. And when he sees Dak Prescott play, it's not Tony Romo. No matter what Dak Prescott does, he can have a 110 quarterback ranking. He can throw for the most yards in the National Football League. He can have the most touchdowns, the least interceptions. He can do all of those things. He can be the greatest leader on the field. But if Dak doesn't win a Super Bowl, he is still behind Tony Romo in Jerry's mind. Wouldn't it be great to be inside Jerry's mind? It would just be awesome to see what actually goes on in there, if you know what I mean. So Jerry looks at all of this and he's skeptical about wanting to give Dak Prescott a big contract. Look, I get it. The Minnesota Vikings gave a ton of cash to Kirk Cousins. And I would have been so pissed if you're a Viking fan. You'd be so pissed if they gave him like a 6-year deal. The best part of that deal that they gave to Kirk Cousins is it only lasts 3 years. Which is what I recommend the Dallas Cowboys do at this point. Look, at the end of the day, Jerry Jones could have gotten Dak Prescott for a whole lot less last year if he had just gotten off of his ass and signed him in the first place. Why did Jerry just not go ahead and do that? I do not understand. What would have cost him maybe $20 to $25 million a year last year is going to cost him $35 million plus this year. That's a huge difference in the National Football League. What that basically means is you can't pay other players out of that $10 million difference. Now, Dak, on the other hand, the last thing he wants to do is be franchise tag. And I don't blame him. But, I mean, if you're going to franchise tag Dak, then you should just go ahead and do it already. It's like ridiculous. This is the same thing with the Raiders talking about Derek Carr earlier in the week and talking about like how they haven't done their player evaluations yet. Like, I was wondering, was Mike Mayock literally and John Gruden driving the moving buses away from Oakland to Las Vegas? Is that why they haven't had a chance yet to go ahead and do what they're supposed to do? Look, I don't know what the deal is with those guys, but it's absolutely ridiculous that the Raiders are just sort of playing around, talking about not having time yet to do player evaluations. Look, the Dallas Cowboys know exactly what they have in Dak Prescott. You know it. I know it. We all know it. The dog whining in my broadcast studio knows it. Literally, we all know it. And it's the most ridiculous thing I've seen in quite some time. Just 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I'm back, and now I've got a brand new dog, which I'd like to introduce to the world. Rocky, meet the world. Okay, so it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous that John Gruden, Mike Mayock, and Jerry Jones don't have an idea of what they want to do, which leads me to believe that the Dallas Cowboys really don't want to pay Dak, but are going to be forced to actually pay Dak Prescott some big dollars. I'm telling you right now, it's absolutely going to happen. And there's Rocky talking. So it's absolutely going to happen. I'm sure of it. As for what the Cowboys are actually saying about Dak Prescott these days, I can tell you this. Go ahead. just go ahead and and go ahead and look up Dak Prescott. Go to Google. For the God's sakes, don't use Bing. Go to Google, type in Dak Prescott, and here are the headlines from that. Jerry Jones refers to Dak Prescott as a family member, but adds deal has to fit. Would Jerry Jones do that with his own grandson? Would Jerry Jones do that with his own son? Come on. He's not like really a family member, Jerry. You're not kidding anybody. Another headline, new Cowboys coach, the retread Mike McCarthy. I added the retread. Definitely thinks Dak Prescott can be a Super Bowl QB. And then one more from Jerry Jones worth reading. Jerry Jones, CBA vote complicates Cowboys' plan to keep Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper. So now he's applying pressure about the CBA, which he absolutely wants to get passed because the CBA benefits the owners. I can't even believe that the National Football League players are actually going to sign that deal, but I think they will. Okay. And then we're going to hear like 10 years of complaining about this and about that, and all this other stuff is going to happen as a result of it. Anyways, I just want to thank everybody for listening to one of our first podcasts on YouTube, which was, of course, brought to you by Rocky the Puppy, who is a terrier. He's a terrier / Chihuahua mix. I'm just saying. Anyways, thanks so much. Mighty.rip is a actual URL. I've had to explain that to some people. So do check out our website, new sports content on a daily basis, podcast videos, articles, and more. The site's been up for 3.5 weeks and is doing actually really, really well. So thanks to everybody for all of your support there. Other than that, you can catch our podcasts in the car or wherever you listen to your podcasts via just about every podcast platform out there. The ones we're especially proud of are Spotify, iHeartRadio, of course, Apple, and Google Play. And that is the big show for you today. For the Mighty Rip, I'm Dave DeBaugh, reminding you that sometimes players, coaches, and front office folks make horrifically bad decisions. like James Harden even bringing anything up about the National Basketball Association All-Star Draft and how Giannis hurt his feelings. Look, it's our job as fans to simply set these players, front office folks, and coaches straight.